Hey everyone, just a long overdue update on asking my mum or catching up with my mum when she's stuck in a cult for coffee, and how severe and strict the rules are of separation and the excommunication once you escape the cult, and how brutal it is. And I just have given this some time because it's been an emotional journey, and also I'm playing this out in real time. So I want you to know, I can't, it's real time. There's no control over that. And I shared was, the first message was, would you let me take you out for coffee? So every year, Mum's birthday, Mother's Day, I reach out to her. Sorry, it's really hard to talk about, so excuse me if I get a bit emotional. And it's always the same response. As you saw last time, it's just a thank you, which, some might say, well, it's a response. Yes, but it's barely the bare minimum. And I'll explain. So then I reached out to her a bit later, said, hey, Mum, just checking you got my invitation for coffee. And then I explained a few days later, the reason I was asking is because I thought maybe the rules around their separation had changed, because I had seen my auntie having coffee with an old neighbor, an outsider who they deem really, sinful, and to which I sent a screenshot of me asking and confronting my auntie, because she did it right in front of my shop, and came into my shop with her to kind of rub it in my face. And so I reached out to my auntie and said, do you need help? Like, sometimes this is a way of them crying out for help. And she said, no. And I said, well, I find it strange that you can meet up with your neighbor for a coffee, but you won't meet your nephew. And that was my favorite auntie back then. And she said, oh, I view it very differently. Two Christians speaking and walking and talking together. And I'm like, I'm your flesh and blood. I'm your nephew. And then I'll show you the rest of the message to my mum. So I sent her a final message, Mum, the final message this morning, just outlining, as you can read here. Morning, Mum, I understand you've probably been told not to speak to me again. I understand. Just know, as your son, I'll always love you, and what I'm doing in raising awareness as to the life I was a part of is to help the many victims and that have suffered abuse and are still suffering. I love you, and what's to come is nothing against you personally, but in view of a greater good. You have always taught me to be honest, kind, and good, and I'm doing just that. I won't say goodbye because my heart is open to you forever. I love you endlessly, and if you ever wish to escape, know I'm here for you. Your loving son always, Ben. Sorry, that's just really hard to read, because I know my mum has probably been told not to speak to me again because of me speaking out, but I knew it was a cost of coming that would come with helping others.